Hello, this is Bible Quest. Today it is Tuesday, so this is the Tuesday Bible Quest. Scott, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Drew. How are you?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling joyous. I'm feeling happy. There's a lot of sadness in the world today, but I think the Apostle Paul talks about having joy in every situation, right?
Yes, he does. He wrote a letter where he uses the word joy and rejoice more frequently than any other letter, and he writes it while he's a prisoner, while he's being mistreated, misrepresented, and while there's a chance that he's going to be executed.
Everything's going against him, and he's writing a letter about being
Yeah.
joyful.
Yeah. So there is a time to weep for sure, and a time to rejoice. Back in Ecclesiastes, there's a time to laugh, there's a time to mourn. Romans 12, weep with those that weep, rejoice with those that rejoice. But when we are going through suffering, it's not that we're not going to suffer, we're going to suffer. When we're going through suffering, it's helpful to not let evil win by defeating our spirit and making us feel like giving up.
That's the risk. Yeah, when we get to that point, what's the use?
Yeah. And what Paul's going to do in this letter is he's going to show us, I call it the mental health book of the New Testament.
Oh, I like that.
He knows the problems he's up against, but as he goes through these three problems in chapter 1, we're going to notice how he spots the sunshine behind the storm cloud in each one. It's not that storm clouds and thunderstorms don't exist, they do. But every day, if it's daytime, what's above all those dark clouds and storms?
There's a blue sky up there.
Yeah. And so with that idea in mind, let's take a look at the book of Philippians. So background, this would be written in the early 60s. Paul would have established its church in the very late 40s, close to 50, but late 40s. And who were some of the original people in that? What are some things we know about the Philippian church that Paul established on his second missionary journey?
Oh, I get the people mixed up. In Philippi was no, Lydia wasn't.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Chapter 16, this is the first time we ever see Paul on European soil. They didn't call it European soil back then, but he had been in the Middle East and in Turkey. I'm using modern terms, not the terms back then. Yeah. But Philippi was the first time they came to what we now call Europe. And when he got there, there was not a synagogue there because the Jewish community was small. But there were a few women who would meet on the Sabbath down by the river.
Yeah.
Converted Lydia and her household. And then she encouraged the whole team to stay there. She housed them. You remember, she was a seller of purple, so she was a woman of wealth. And so it was Paul and Silas and Timothy and Luke that came there. And then when Paul gets beaten and thrown into prison, he converts the jailer in the middle of the night. He and his family are baptized in the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, we don't know his name, but he's referred to as the Philippian jailer.
There you go. There you go.
And maybe not even Philippian. He's just referred to as the jailer.
And both of them, it said their household was baptized. And then there would have been other people as well. And before we start into the letter, let's set the background just a little bit with this. It's very different than Galatians or 1 Corinthians. Paul cared about the Galatians, but he's really concerned because they've gone after false teaching. He loves the Corinthians, but he's really concerned because they're acting more like Corinthians than they are like Christians. And they're doing all sorts of nonsense. When we read Philippians, there's almost no correction at all. It is a very joyous letter, partly because, and you think about in your work, Drew, and in my work, and just over the years, we've known people that we loved, and we tried hard to help them, but it was always up in the air whether or not they were going to do the right thing or not.
Yeah.
And they're high maintenance people.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get stronger, sometimes they fall away. Like Paul said to the Galatians, I'm afraid I wasted my time on you.
Wow, that's right. Oh man.
And then there's other people that you just know that they stand and they're going to keep standing. And you just have confidence in them. And Paul had a lot of confidence in the Philippians. And one way I think we can see that is that Paul was real careful about who he took money from. He wouldn't take it from the Thessalonians. He wouldn't take it from the Corinthians. Looks like he wouldn't take it from the Ephesians. But he let the Philippian church support him even when it was a brand new church when he went over into Thessalonica. He said, again and again, you sent me support while I was in Thessalonica. And when he took wages from other churches down in Corinth, Philippi would have been one of those churches. So he cares about them. He's got confidence in them. They love him. They're not having to be reminded that he's an apostle. They don't have people that are challenging that. And they know he's a prisoner. So at the end of his third missionary journey, he stopped by Philippi right before he went to Troas, where he preached till midnight, and then saw the Ephesian elders, got Jerusalem. And within 2 weeks, he got arrested. Then he spent 2 years in prison in Caesarea. Then he appealed to Caesar. And then there was a terrible shipwreck, and they had to spend a while on an island. He finally got to Rome as a prisoner. And what's going through the minds of our Philippians here? If somebody you know was overseas and got arrested and put in prison. Okay, you and I both have a friend, Joe Works. And Joe spent some time in a foreign country where there is some corruption. And you'll remember one time when an evil brother, tried to make things hard and threaten him and stuff, kind of trying to blackmail him to get, or not blackmail him because he had information, but in other words, if you don't give me money, you're going to be in trouble. I'm going to get you arrested or something.
Yeah, the authorities are going to.
Yeah, because they were corrupt and everything. Now imagine how we would feel if next time Joe went back there, he got arrested. And it had been a prisoner for over 2 years.
It's hard to imagine, but you're feeling the pain.
Yeah,
and joy is not the first thing that comes to your mind.
That's right. And we know he's a prisoner. We know there's a corrupt charges against him, but he wasn't guilty, but he's a prisoner, and they might execute him.
Yeah, and that makes it even worse.
Yeah. And we can't fix that from over here. But there's 2 things we could do. We could pray for him, and the Philippians were. And if he had some expenses, we could send him some money. And that's what the Philippians did. So Paul, we know at the end of Acts, he was allowed to rent a house that he was being held in with the guards, and apparently here it refers to a chain or being in bonds. So
house arrest where you couldn't leave, but it was
but he's got to pay that rent, and so
you got to pay for your own jail.
Yeah. So the Philippians have sent some money, and they sent it with Epaphroditus, one of the Philippians, and he was heading hundreds of miles over there to get it to Paul, and he got sick, bad sick, almost died, and he got a message back that he was ill. And if you get a message that a loved one is ill or in the emergency room, and you get it on your phone, you're immediately wanting to check and stuff, and you're within minutes, maybe you're getting information.
Right. And if you can get over there, you want to get over there.
Yeah. The Philippians are 100 miles away, and they don't have texting or email or phone calls.
No.
By the time you get a letter that somebody's bad ill, it's like in the early days of this country, somebody went out on the Oregon Trail and they wrote back east and said, Father is very ill. man, by the time you get that letter,
He could be dead.
buried a week ago.
Yeah.
So now the Philippians are concerned not just about Paul,
But Epaphras.
Epaphroditus too.
How do you say his name? Because I'm studying Colossians on Friday night, and he's mentioned there. How's it? How do you, okay.
Epaphroditus. Yeah, he's mentioned in chapter 2.
Yeah.
So imagine them. Well, Epaphroditus doesn't die. He gets better. Paul would have liked to kept him in Rome, but he knew they were concerned about him, so he sends him back with a thank you letter. And that thank you letter is our book of Philippians.
Isn't that beautiful?
Imagine the day. I don't know what day he got there. Could have got there on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever. But let's just imagine, for sake of purposes here, that he got there on a Sunday. Picture the disciples there, and in walks Epaphroditus.
Good
to see him. And what's he got? I got a letter from Paul. Do they want to hear it? Yes. And it could have been this kind of letter. It could have been an Ecclesiastes letter.
Oh.
Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. There's no point in it. This is so unfair. I was doing the right thing. The other criminals were doing the wrong thing, but now we're both criminals together. You know, a guilty man goes free. I'm an innocent man. I might get killed.
I don't think he went that route.
That's not the route he went. So let's take a look and learn a few lessons here. So verse 1. Drew, if you would for us, please read verse 1 through 5.
Sure. This is Philippians chapter 1. Paul and Timothy, servants of Christ Jesus, to all the saints in Christ Jesus who are at Philippi, with the overseers and deacons, grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. I thank my God in all my remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine for you all, always in every prayer of mine for you, all making my prayer with joy, because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now.
So they had been financially supporting him at the beginning, and now they're financially supporting him again. He's so thankful for it. And it's common for Paul to give thanks at the beginning of a letter, but it's just much more affectionate here. Watch this in verse 7. It's only right for me to feel this way about you all. I have you in my heart, both in my imprisonment and in the defense of the confirmation of the gospel. You all are partakers of grace with me. God is my witness how I long for you all with the affection of Jesus Christ. He's just very affectionate. But we want to know how you're doing, Paul. How are you doing? Verse 12. Read that for us, please, Drew.
I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel. Paul, you're in jail. You're on death row. What are you saying there, Paul?
How is this going to advance the gospel? You got the apostle that started so many churches. He's been locked up for more than 2 years, maybe well over 2 years by now. Yeah. And he's not able to be out there planting churches. How is anything good coming out of this?
Well, where he's at, he would not have been able to talk to certain people.
Yeah, so let's see what he says. I want you to know, brothers, my circumstances have turned out for the greater progress of the gospel, so that my imprisonment in the cause of Christ has become well known throughout the whole Praetorian Guard.
That's a major statement.
Yeah. That's significant.
Very, very.
And to everyone else. So he's able to be preaching to people that otherwise he wouldn't have had access to. And there's another benefit. Verse 14, most of the brethren, trusting in the Lord because of my imprisonment, have far more courage to speak the word of God without fear.
What can they do to us?
They arrested Paul. All right, let's step up.
Yep.
Let's step
We're not
up.
going back down.
Yeah, I don't want to get off into politics today, but it's been weighing heavy on my mind about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And I saw a video of people in South Korea, a lot of people out in the street, and they're all saying, "We are Charlie Kirk. We are Charlie Kirk." It was like he stood for things that these people respected. And when somebody murdered him, it's like all of these people standing up and said, "We're all Charlie Kirk now."
Did you see them in the UK?
That was a rally, a Tommy Robinson rally. That it might have also been related to that.
Yeah, because they were carrying Charlie Kirk's.
Oh yeah, okay, good.
They were carrying Charlie Kirk's. In fact, he is it. What is it? Tommy Robinson?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, he's the one that organized it, but
Oh, okay.
he organized it on behalf of Charlie Kirk.
All right.
Well, at least that's why I was watching the video. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's
right. But yeah, you didn't want to make. We don't want to make it political, but there's an example there of someone taking a hit.
Yep.
For is righteous and what is good, and you're taking it personally. They're attacking me. I'm not going to back down.
And here in the first century, Paul had been preaching the gospel, and they've arrested him and stopped him. And Paul said, "Most of the brethren, trusting in the Lord, because of my imprisonment, have far more courage to speak." So it made other people step up. So problem number one, yeah, I'm a prisoner, but the guards are hearing about the gospel, my stand in the gospel, and other people being braver to preach. Problem number two, some of the people stepping up to preach aren't doing it of a good motive.
Yeah. Could that be because they recognize some of the positive side of getting accolades from people because what you're doing, and now they're doing it for that?
Well, and you stop and think, religion has always been something that can be corrupted by pride.
Yeah.
So you look at Korah. He's part of Israel. He's one of the Levites. That's not enough. He wants to be able to do what Aaron. It's just, you look at the Pharisees. Jesus said, all their works they do to be seen of men. They stand on the street corner and pray, to show off. In Luke, it talks about people making long prayers for a pretense.
They're looking at the accolades from other people. Their pride is getting built up.
Yes, and they're making it about them.
Yeah,
and that would be pretty irritating. So imagine back. We used our friend Job. Suppose he went back to that country where that corruption was, and he got arrested and thrown in there, and then you and I started, trying to take Joe's spot while insulting Joe.
Yeah. In fact, since I know the context, what if we were saying, if we go out there and preach Jesus Christ like Joe, he's arrested for that. They're going to give him more stripes.
Or if we just look at it as a chance to hurt him and exalt ourselves.
Yeah.
We know the work he's done with both the camps and the church up there at Elmira. What if you and I went up to Elmira and said, we're taking over here for Joe. Joe deserves what he got. Probably everybody didn't know he was a troublemaker and he's where he deserved to be. That would be really insulting.
And then with that, and Joe hears about that, the natural thing would be, how dare those guys do that? Hey, and start complaining and sending back hate mail. So, hey, you don't listen to those guys.
And of course, it would be frustrating. And you could do what you could do.
I'm not saying that's what Joe would have said. I'm just saying that would be a normal reaction.
Natural thing. And with Paul, he could have just let it eat him up that guys are out there preaching to exalt themselves and hurt him.
Even though they were preaching the truth of Christ.
Yeah. So that's what he's going to focus on.
Okay.
So over and over here, he's doing the secret he mentioned in 2 Corinthians 4. You remember 2 Corinthians 4 where he said, we are, pursued but not forsaken, smitten down but not destroyed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He said, here's why I don't faint. Because I don't focus, I'm paraphrasing, I don't focus on the temporary things, I focus on the eternal things. And that's what he's doing here. The chain on Paul was temporary. The soul of the guard was eternal. The souls of other people being brought to the Lord was eternal. The insult from somebody that's trying to do something for glory and put you down, that's an insult. That'll go away. But if while they're trying to get glory, they told somebody else about Christ, somebody else can be saved. They won't. The hypocrite won't be saved. But, you can have an evil man throw the seed, but the seed can grow.
Yeah.
The power's in the seed, not in the sower. And so watch what he says.
Wait a minute. Before you go further, you just made me think of something. So there, you just said he's there with his chains on there, and you used the word, and he knows that's temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recall he was in Philippi, in the jail in there, and those chains just came right off.
Yep. That's right. And he's going to say at the end of chapter 1, he's going to say, we've been called not only to believe, but to suffer, experience the same conflict which you saw in me, and now here to be in me. But that's a really good point. The chains in Philippi were very temporary. They weren't there maybe but a few hours at most. That's good. I like that. All right. So read for us, please, verse 15 through 18.
Okay, 15.
Philippians 1, 15 through 18.
Philippians 1, verse 15. Some indeed preach Christ from envy and rivalry, but others from goodwill. The latter do it out of love, knowing that I'm put here for the defense of the gospel. The former proclaim Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, but thinking to afflict me in my punishment. What then? Only that in every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed, and in that I rejoice.
There's a fellow that used to preach. He wasn't a disciple of Christ. He was an evil man. He was a liar. He was a terrible man, but he put on a show and he taught a good friend of mine the gospel. And he taught her the gospel. Now, eventually he caught lying. He used to claim, for example, that he used to be vice president of Commodore Computers and used to drive a Rolls Royce. And, the image was like, but he gave up those things to be a gospel preacher and stuff. And of course, it was all lies. But a whole bunch of stuff without getting into all of it. And now I think he's off married to a man somewhere. But he was a liar back then. He's not a good man today. He wasn't a good man back then. But I'm glad that my friend learned the gospel.
And that's exactly what Paul is saying here.
As much of a hypocrite and liar as he was, he was preaching the gospel either for money or admiration or whatever. But while he did it with wrong heart, again, the power is in the seed, not in you or I when we're throwing it.
Not in the farmer.
And so when Jesus is the sower, there was power in the sower. When people today sow the seed, the power is in the word.
Yeah.
And Paul says, you know what? Yeah, there's some guys out there, some bad-hearted guys, and they're doing it for the wrong motives. But here's what I'm going to rejoice in. People are hearing the gospel. This is not defending the sin of the ambitious men. They're wrong. The greatest, when in Proverbs it said there are 67 abominations to God, number one is, a proud look. They're not right, but they still accomplish something good. God can use us to accomplish good. Even a bad person, God can use as an example to other people. And we've all known some people like that.
Yeah.
Their lives serve to be nothing but a warning example to other people. Wow, don't live like him. God can use that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the last point. They might kill me. Verse 21. For me, let's start with 20. At the end of it, he says about in his body, either by life or by death, in verse 21. For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. But if I'm to live in the flesh, this will mean fruitful labor for me. And I don't know which to choose. I'm hard pressed from both directions, having the desire to depart and be with Christ, for that's very much better. Yet to remain on in the flesh is more necessary for your sake. It's like he's at a Chinese buffet, Hey, do you want to get the Kung Pao or the General Tso? If I die, I'll get to go be with Christ. When? If I don't die, I'll get to keep helping y'all and other people. When? Notice this here. So here's some just mental health lessons from this. His optimism. So we all know the definition of an optimist and a pessimist with a glass of water. What's the difference between an optimist and a pessimist when they look at a glass of water?
Well, the optimist says, I got half a full glass.
Yeah.
And the pessimist says, I'm half empty.
Yeah. Now, mathematically, who's right?
They're both the same.
Yeah, they're both the same. But one guy's going to have a whole lot better life. Because none of us always get everything we want.
No.
And if we go through life, I didn't get this. I didn't have that. I used to have this, now I don't have it. You can always focus on the negative and make yourself depressed. The optimist focuses on what's good. Hey, this is half full. So Paul's being optimistic. He's looking at the bright side, but not just the bright side. He's looking at the bright side relative to eternity instead of the negative side limited to earthly things. So the bright side, spiritual and eternal, instead of the negative side, earthly and temporary.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good lesson for us.
Yeah.
And so if he'd done it the other way, if I don't die, I won't get to be with Christ. If I do die, I won't get to help you. Now he's got to lose.
Yeah. Same scenario. Oh, yeah.
Instead, hey, if I do die, I get to be with Christ. If I don't die, I can keep helping. Now, let's turn to chapter 4 as we finish up.
Hold on.
Chapter 4, verse 4. Really cool verse.
Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say, rejoice.
Now, there's other things we can take joy in. I like a blue sky, sunny day. I like, think of some of the things that the Bible talks about. Rejoice in the life of your youth. Your children. Proverbs tells us, train our children and you shall have joy of them. But we can lose everything here. We can love a child or a wife and then they die or we die. We can love our youth and that will end. We can love our health. That will end. It's not that it's wrong to enjoy those things, but those things we don't get to keep forever. Paul knew the one thing that they couldn't take from him, the Lord. He's not saying don't take joy in other things, but make sure you take joy in the Lord. Rejoice in the Lord. Again, I say rejoice. Verse 6, don't be anxious for anything. Don't worry. It's easy for us to worry. We've all done it. But what's the difference, Drew, between planning, constructive planning, and destructive worry?
Well, worrying, it'll get in the way of doing something that may be helpful for your planning.
Yeah. Planning's good. In Proverbs, go to the ant, thou sluggard, and, prepare for the winter to come. Planning's not bad. The farmer that's planning for winter, he's not sitting there, oh, I'm worried that it might be winter. No, he knows winter's coming. He plans for it, and he aims for that. But the worrier,
oh, he'll sit back and say, why bother? It's not going to go that way, or it's only I'm going to lose it. Why bother? That's what his worrying leads into.
This attitude and this worry. And the worry doesn't fix the problem. And then he can't sleep well because he's worried. And that doesn't go well for his health.
Right.
It's like, so he says, don't worry. But all this bad stuff, here's what to do instead. In everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God.
Yeah.
Because there's things I can't do anything about. There's things you can't do anything about. And the people watching this podcast, there's so many things wrong in this world that you can't do anything about. But who can? God.
Lord.
Yeah. And some of the things he's going to take care of at the day of judgment. Some of the things he may take care of sooner. Some of the things he may allow for some bad examples to show bad examples and people learn from that, but just leave it up to God. Take your prayers and requests to God with, this is key, thanksgiving.
Yeah.
If I'm always, oh God, I need this and I need that, and please fix this, and this is wrong, and I don't like that, and I'm worried about this, that's not the way to pray. Take those petitions, but along with thanksgiving. So somebody once said, what if you woke up every day only with the things that you were thankful for the day before?
Well, if you're thankful, there's no room in your brain to think negative.
Gratitude and self-pity kind of cancel each other out.
Exactly.
It's kind of like breathing in and breathing out. You can do them both, but not at the same time.
Yeah.
And when we're focused on what we're grateful for, we know the things that hurt and are painful and aren't the way we wish they were. But when we will focus on the things that we are thankful for, that are good and true and respectable, that puts our mind in a different. It's not that we're oblivious to the other thing, but it's what you choose to focus on. Paul knew he was a prisoner. Paul knew people were trying to hurt him. Paul knew they might kill him. But he rose above that by focusing on what was more important. So you remember that song, Count Your Many Blessings?
Yeah.
When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged, thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done.
That's focusing and identifying them, the reality of those blessings. And wasn't that written, I forget who wrote that song, but wasn't that written by a fellow that lost his family at sea? Or am I getting that?
That's It Is Well With My Soul.
That's it. How well my soul. And he sang, when he wrote that song, I forget his name, Horatio something or other. He was a rich man in Chicago. He lost everything. He was a rich man, a lawyer. He lost everything. He lost his son, their young son. And he said to his wife and his two daughters, I don't know if it was three, but at least $2, we're going to go to England. We're going to get away from everything here. He gets over to New York to get on the ship in the 1800s. And he gets a call from Chicago from his law firm that something emergency came up. And he says to him, I'll meet you in London. You go ahead and I'll follow up a week later. He gets a telegram. They never made it. The ship went down. It sunk. So he finally gets over there to go to where he was going to go. And I forgot, there was somebody, I don't know if it was his wife that survived and just the daughters died, but he was good. Yeah, his wife survived and the daughters died and drowned. So he's on his way there, and the captain called them up while they were out there, and they said, sir, this is the spot your daughters were drowned in. And he looks down at that water And that is what motivated him to write the song.
Wow.
It is well with my soul. At that moment, when he realized his daughters were 6,000, or however deep that ocean was, Atlantic Ocean was, that's the focus that I have to learn. And that's what Paul is saying.
He's saying, don't be angry, rejoice in the Lord. Don't let worry take you over. Take your concerns to God in petition or prayer while giving thanks. Because, and back to that statement, what if we woke up only with the things that we were thankful for? Yesterday, I didn't think to be thankful for my eyesight. I didn't think to be thankful that I wasn't paralyzed. What if I woke up today blind and paralyzed? You can bet I would be thinking about that today.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, but if we will stop and appreciate the things that we do have, and the good that there is, that's much better. And here's what Paul says as we wind up here. He says, rejoice in Jesus. Don't worry. Take your concerns to God in prayer with thanksgiving, and the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So then he says this, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is good repute, if there's any excellent, if there's anything worthy of praise, let your mind dwell on these things. And sometimes we don't want to. Sometimes we want to be in a bad mood. Sometimes we want to feel sorry for ourselves. Sometimes we want to think about all the things that are unfair and what so-and-so said to us or what so-and-so did to us and how this isn't right and I'm not getting my fair share. And if you spend your whole life thinking about depressing things, you're going to be depressed. Paul says, put your mind on what's good. Be thankful and rejoice in the Lord. And they'll eventually take Paul's life, but they couldn't take the Lord away from him.
And that's the choice. We could actually choose to do that. There's nothing that could stop us from choosing to think the way Paul is telling us to think, except ourselves.
And it's not pretending that things aren't bad.
No, not at all.
He's not a prisoner. He knows that. He's not pretending there's not hypocrites out there that's kind of stabbing him in the back. He knows that. He expects to be released, but he says, if they do kill me, I want you to be happy for me. And so we can learn a big lesson from the book of Philippians at any time, but especially when we're going through hard times. Remember the book of Philippians and put our joy in the Lord. Focus more on what's eternal instead of what's temporary. Focus on what's true and good more than what's evil and wrong. And the things that we can't fix, we can pray and ask God for help and to take care of those things while giving thanks for all that he's already given.
Amen, brother. Let's close on that point right now. And we'll pick up again next week. We look forward to seeing everybody at our next Tuesday Bible Quest get together. You take care, Scott. You have a great rest of your week.
You too, Drew.
Bye-bye.